Welcome back, everybody, to another Thinking Out Loud. It is just me, myself, and I. Today, we've got a couple of things I want to talk about. Actually, I want to talk about a lot of things, but most of you guys hardly ever stay for the rest of the conversation. So I'll try to get to some juicy stuff first, and then we'll move on to some more of the boring stuff. Since it is just myself, I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Normally, short, 45 minutes or whatever, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Anyways, I want to talk a little bit about my experience going to the airport and traveling, because it is just I don't understand the protocols for going to a fucking airport. Like I know none of you. There is no way you enjoy going to an airport. I think there is something cool about being at an airport, right? Because it's like a point at which tons of different people from all over the place convene or converge. But it's like, there's too many people. Yeah, and I think even now with the pandemic, you would have thought that there would be even less people at the airport. But like the moment they got a little taste of freedom, it's like, yeah, we'll go back to normal. We'll travel again, like normal people. We'll just get up and go. We don't have to, worry about anybody else getting sick or anything. And it's like there's just so many damn people at the airport, even when they've done their best. Actually, I don't know how bad it used to be, maybe because I didn't travel a lot. But there's just so many people at an airport. Maybe it's just me. I hate being around people. But, I'm not good with time management, and being at the airport is all about making sure you're on time. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, hold up. Like, I'm almost there. Well, I was traveling and I happened to miss my first flight. Now, not for, I didn't miss it because, I was too hungover. I just missed it because I overslept. Now, that's just what happened. I overslept. I woke up 30 minutes before my flight, and I'm 15 minutes away from the airport. So I was like, you know what? I should probably get there and just, go. Right? Now, I'm already packed, and I'm ready to go. I hop out of bed. I'm ready in 10 minutes. I've already got the the third party that I used to purchase the tickets. I got them on the phone, and I'm waiting, and I'm hoping. I forget, there's a wait time. I'm hoping, please do not, get stuck in a 20-minute fucking wait. I'm calling because I'm trying to make sure I can get my flight changed or whatever. Or I guess be put on standby. But, I didn't come to find out later that, you gotta go through other stuff. Anyway, so I'm calling, and the lady's all like, oh, well, there's a standby for another flight if, but you have to talk to them at the airline. I'm like, fuck. Now, let me just be clear. I don't travel a lot. I don't like the bureaucracy of, traveling. Maybe I'm just thinking too much about it. It feels like a hassle. I don't understand how people do it. It feels ugly. I like going out to places. I like going to other destinations. It's just the act of traveling is kind of annoying. Anyways, so I'm at the airport. I'm I'm sorry. I hop in my Uber. I'm on the phone still trying to figure it out. I get to the airport. I look at my clock. I see that it's about 20 minutes before it takes off. Because I had to be there I had to be there for the boarding, right? Because it's boarding and then it's takeoff, or right whenever they close the door. I'm familiar with. I've already checked in. I've got my boarding pass on my phone. I go into this line, which leads up to the TSA, and as I'm in line, I'm told. Okay, actually, I'm told that I can't get on the plane because my baggage is too big. And I'm so oblivious to the rules and requirements of how big a fucking luggage needs to be for you to carry on the plane. I'm thinking to myself, this bag is fine. If I could show you, it's just too big for the carry-on. Okay, it was just too big for the carry-on. Now you're thinking, you're telling me well, if you had gone there earlier, you could have checked your bag in and you wouldn't have gone through this. Well, you're absolutely right, because when I had first gotten there, I I asked a nice assistant to help me out, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you missed the check-in for your luggage." I'm like, fuck. Like, I had no idea there was a minimum check-in for luggage that I had to check in. Whatever. I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know. All right. So I fucking. So as I'm like being pulled out of the line, I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna miss my flight. All right. I'm already thinking to myself, like, son of a bitch. The lady is like, I'll tell them at the ramp to hold up. I'm like, thank you so much. I'm like, I started using my Spanish, because that's how you know it's urgent. When you start speaking in their native tongue, whoever is helping you out, and then they just like think you're like one of them, and you're like, yes, please help me. So she tries to help me out with the assistant, customer service assistant. And I'm like, I'm standing there like in my head trying to do Jedi mind tricks to this motherfucker, trying to make sure that he actually puts my shit on, gives me a tag, and lets me go through, because I didn't want to miss my flight. Didn't fucking matter at this point. He tells me, well, look, I'm sorry, you missed your fucking flight. And he did, and I was just like, all right, fuck it. And I'm like looking already to see if I can get another flight the same day. The airline is telling me I gotta fucking schedule it for next week. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go to a different airline, get a different ticket. I got my old flight returned because I had bought the insurance, because I had made it in time to cancel it. Because the woman at the counter was like, technically you missed your flight, but I'll cancel it so that you get your flight back and you get the trip's credit worth, whatever. Airlines just have the worst like refund service, like credibility. Is it just me, or is it the like if you should have just always get your miles back or something? I don't know. Like, those motherfuckers get trillions of dollars from the government. Like, what the fuck? I mean, by the grace of God, I think me missing that flight was the best thing to happen. Because like I'm on the trip, I'm in the Uber ride back to my flight. I mean, to my place, because I rescheduled it for the next morning. I got lucky. By the way, I scheduled it for an even earlier flight, so that means I had to get up even earlier, right? And I'm in the Uber ride home, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I missed this flight for a reason. It had to be a good reason, because like I was so upset with myself because I have such bad time management skills that like I beat myself up over it. Like, it's just habitual sometimes. I'm like, what the fuck? And this time I was really like beating myself up over it. And I'm telling the Uber drivers, being real nice, talking to me, and he's just like, oh yeah, it happens to everybody. Everybody misses their flight, this and that. I'm sure he was trying to make me feel better. I was trying to find a way to make myself feel better. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, come to find out, it's a good thing I missed my flight, because, the airplane ended up going down. It ended up crashing, I told him. And obviously, I thought that was hilarious. I'm sure some of you thought it was horrendous. But obviously, no, it did not crash. It did not crash. Relax. Don't skip this. But yeah, no, that was the joke I made. I thought it was funny. I said, yeah, no, it went down. And that's the joke I kept until I reached my destination. I just told everybody that I missed my flight and that it was a good thing, because it ended up crashing. And everybody's first initial reaction is just like, oh my God. It's never like, oh, haha, you must be joking. It's like, wow, everybody's so tense. You lighten up. But I eventually made my flight the next morning, because I actually almost missed it again. My fucking head ass. Almost missed it again, because I wasn't aware, again, I mentioned that there is a certain size limit and weight limit to what you can carry on in the cabin. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm good to go. I'm like, I get my buddy to drive me. You know, it's basically a wake up call. I'm ready. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, how early did you leave? Okay, well, I'll be honest. I left an hour before my flight takes off. And actually, yes, I did technically miss my flight because I didn't check in. I didn't show up with enough time. Like, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? How? I know what you're thinking. It's like, you stupid ass. You have no one to blame but yourself. But okay, come on. Like, the airlines are, like, I'm already there. You know, I end up going to a flight, you know, that's only like 20 minutes later. I mean, I missed my flight. Fine, whatever. I missed my flight. Yes, I missed my flight. Again, twice, 2 days in a row. I don't ever buy flights in the morning. I did this only so I would show up on time at my destination. I only ever get afternoon flights. Fuck that. Never ever getting morning flights. Unless it's important or some shit. You better be dying. Because I'm not. If your funeral's in the morning, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Whatever. Oh, man. Yeah, you know, and I had to get I had to get connecting flights to my destination because there's no nonstop flights because apparently every airline decides to properly disinfect and wash and, you know, do everything to the airplane so that it is properly sanitized between flights. It's ridiculous. It feels like such a hassle. I know I'm complaining like a white girl, like I'm just complaining about nothing. It's like really nothing. Like the traveling is fine. I don't care. It's just fucking annoying because if you aren't on time, it becomes a hassle, you know. And even then, the American Airlines. There's nothing American about that airline. Nothing American. The food is disgusting. Though there was no food, they didn't even give us full 12-ounce water bottles. Am I tripping as to say that there's like a way of carrying, like they're not allowed to have large? They have cans. They have soda cans. They're like 12-ounce cans, right? Why didn't they give us why didn't they give us 16-ounce bottle waters? They gave us like the little mini ones you give out at like a fucking, you know, preschool lunch. It's fucking ridiculous. They gave us little biscuits. I mean, it was a 2.5-hour flight. Don't get me wrong, but come on. No beverages, no nothing. What? There's nothing American. There was nothing American about my American Airlines experience. I don't understand why they had such low quality service. And you know, I had to sit at the emergency exit. I'm sure the emergency exit for you guys is like, oh, I would never sit there. Yeah, well, because I was on standby for the flight, the woman at the associate's desk asked me, she's like, do you mind sitting at a emergency exit sign? And I said, no, I do not, because I did not want to waste my time anymore, because I felt like if I wasted any more time, I would literally miss my flight by the whatever fucking, you know, governs this fucking universe. And, you know, she then goes on to ask me, she says, oh, will you be able to help out in the case of an emergency? And I said no, because I needed to lighten things up. I was dying inside and I needed some humor. The problem was that she was so preoccupied with everything going on because there was other people shoving tickets in her face. This lovely woman, Judy. Thank you so much, Judy. Judy just, you know, didn't hear me or chose to ignore me. Because I, you know, was just like, yeah. I get to the emergency exit seat, and they then ask us again. It's like 3 of us in a row. They ask, you know, the guy on the left, will you be able to help out in case of an emergency? Will you be able to like lift this door, right, in case of an emergency? He said, yeah. The guy in the middle, who was an Asian man, a bit elderly, he said no. And then she looks at me and says the same thing, and I said no. But she again completely ignores me. Just completely, I think it just flew over her head. I tried to tell her, and she's like, yeah, okay. And so they were like, we're gonna have to switch you with someone else. And I thought to myself, this is racist to think that he could not do it himself, you know, because he's an Asian man. I was, yeah, I was shocked. Because then a young man came over, and this guy was even worse. Like, he sits down the whole 2.5 hours, he's just coughing his head off, sniffling, and because we're sitting in the emergency exit, and right in front of us is the host. No, it's not the hostess, the airline attendant, the flight attendant. She is just sitting in front of us, and I can tell how uncomfortable she looks, as if this man is about to start spewing blood everywhere, like a fountain, like Niagara Falls, because he's just coughing into his mask. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna die. Like, if this plane, I was like, I'm hoping this plane goes down, because I am not about to catch COVID. It was that bad, and nobody said anything. Well, I wasn't gonna say anything either. I didn't care. And yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm going to have to open this door. I have to be the last one out. I'm like, damn, I have to be ready to sacrifice myself. Like, that's what you have to do to say yes to sitting in the emergency exit seat. You have to be willing to sacrifice yourself. You have to be willing to sacrifice yourself for everybody else on the plane. And they have these little pictures on these little pamphlets, right? So you can learn how to, I'm telling you, like, as if, I'm sure maybe you've never sat in the emergency exit seat, and if you have, well, then you know what I'm talking about. But the point is that they have these little pictures depicting all the nightmare situations. Well, not all the nightmare, all the most comfortable outcomes, right? The plan has either landed on land or sea or ocean or whatever, or water, and then there's like the tornado hazards, the weather hazards. And I think to myself, I don't know if you guys ever think this to yourself. It's like, I am in this like pressure tube flying over, 500 miles an hour, at 39,000 feet in the air. Like, let me just go. Let's just go. You know what I mean? Let's just do it. Let's just go. That's it. That's done. You're done. So like, don't try to live. Don't try to like pretend like you're going to survive once that shit is going down. Like, you should already just be like, all right. Because they tell you, like, leave your belongings behind. Well, you're right, because when you die, you can't take your shit with you. You can't take your belongings with you. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, anyways, I fucking, I get to the next airport, and it's just all these people, just so many people at an airport that get harassed, and, like, these customer service agents, they're just beautiful people. I'm so proud of them and how often they can just easily deflect people's like passive aggressiveness. Like, this guy was with his family and he's with his wife and 2 daughters. I assume it was his wife, and he's trying to get some information from the associate at the gate. And as people are boarding, like, you have to go in groups, and people, I figure this out. Like, people just have a hard time organizing. Like, it's the strangest thing. Like, you literally just get in line, and everybody has an issue with getting in line. Like, what is the issue getting in line? Just get in line. Like, everybody wants to get on the plane first, and everybody wants to get off the plane first, but just get in line. This is the strangest thing. And he's talking to the associate, and she's like multitasking very well. She's like on the computer, she's listening to her coworker, while at the same time attending people who are, coming in to, check if they're at the proper gate or wherever they need to go. And the man is just saying, hey, like, is this the right number, or what number are you guys on? And there's a television right above us, and you can see clearly the number and group that is clearly boarding. And he looks at her, looks back at his wife, and is like, look at that. I put it right to her face, and she can't even fucking respond. And she immediately responds, oh, this is group 5, boarding letters A through B, or whatever. And I was just like observing, because I was just observing. I wasn't being weird. I was just trying not to be weird. And she like just, answers it in the most honest and genuine way possible. I had never seen, like, she hit him with love. Like, she answered him so fast because, she's like, I really don't understand this man's aggression. Like, you're going to get on the plane, sir. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Or that's what that's how I interpreted what she said to him. Obviously, she said the literal words, but I was thinking to myself, damn, like she's like she deals with it a lot. People are crazy. Can be assholes. And yeah, that's basically that for fucking airports and terminals, airlines. Just, it's ridiculous. Like you ever ridden the bus anywhere? Like, like you ever get on a bus to go somewhere? It's the worst traveling experience. Horrendous. It's just horrendous because those kinds of trips are no more than a couple of hours, right? To 3. One time took a bus to San Francisco. That shit was a fucking mission. Never doing that again. I'll probably get a helicopter, and hope it doesn't go down. Maybe I'll miss my first flight. Who knows? We live in a society that is based in the future. We have so much, like, there are so many ways to monetize what you do in this free market of ideas that we have. I'm going with this, I promise, I swear. Like, what I'm trying to find a way to relate this to Bhad Bhaby hitting 18 and then creating an OnlyFans account and becoming essentially, an overnight millionaire. Well, she was already a millionaire, I assume, but she hits, she's $1 million OnlyFans account. She's like, one of the top whatever. Look, it says here that she made $1 million in her first 6 hours. Now, I can only talk about whatever she's been up to since she became 18. I have it pulled up here. I'm not saying I know this by memory. She was born, her birthday was on the 26th of March. So it's been a couple weeks now. And I have no, like this is incredible. And like, from a perspective of like what someone, with the ability someone has now that they didn't have before. Like, I've talked a lot about this on the RDG show. I'm trying to find, like, sex work is one thing, monetizing your art, like, where do you draw the line? We talk a lot about drawing lines here on Thinking Out Loud, but I don't know what I'm talking about, just to be clear, and I'm not a financial advisor either. It's just to say that, like, is she monetizing her following, right? I mean, that's what it is. She's monetizing her following. I'm not sure what she's selling on there. Like, is it nudes? I mean, OnlyFans. She says, I'm spending 3 hours every night responding to OnlyFans DMs. I'ma really do it. I don't really be sleeping anyways. Some of the most successful barely sleep. Some of the most successful billionaires. Well, she's a millionaire. Because, they recently... Well, she's only 18 and she's a young, wealthy person. Like, there's like if you've been keeping up with the RDG and the Thinking Out Loud, I talk a lot about like this idea of like the emergence. It's not the emergence, but the idea that we aren't comfortable. Some people are not comfortable with young millionaires, right? Because a lot of them are children. Well, or just don't have a fully developed brain. I'm not saying, well, my brain should be fully developed, but like, is she like this? Is it this really big controversy? Because she started out as that Dr. Phil, Cash Me Outside girl, and then use that platform to monetize. I don't know. Like, was she poor before? I don't know. Like, did she like launch herself to stardom by using what she had at her disposal? Are we like, who's really mad at this? You know what I mean? Like, if she's an adult now, she has every right to do whatever she wants. But I mean, again, it's like, were you some dude who was just like waiting, like at the day when she dropped it? Like, you were like, as soon as she hit, 18, you were just like, let's go. Like, I am no longer in the legal gray zone. I mean, good for her in some ways. In many ways, I mean, she made all that money. She got the bag. She's still gonna walk away with it. Like, you know, what is she sacrificing? I mean, when she was the Cash Me Outside girl, like that's what she was known for, Cash Me Outside, and she had to like sort of back that up with, I'm this bad bitch, I am Bhad Bhaby, and I gotta say, I mean, like her name, great play on words. I mean, her full like, cause her full name is like this Italian freaking mumbo jumbo, you know, Bergoli, Bregoli. She's got she's literally a pasta, a fucking tomato sauce, and she turned that platform into her rapping career. Internet personalities. Like, I mean, like, what if like she flipped? What if she was like, I'm gonna move all my money into Bitcoin? Like, would that just like break everybody's fucking mind that this young millionaire is like, yeah, I'm gonna just jump into Bitcoin? I don't even know how I injected Bitcoin into this, but the idea that she has all this wealth and like, let's say, if, hypothetically speaking, she like becomes very financially educated and like just like flips her wealth into something great. Like, would that not be like the greatest comeback story? Like, she becomes this like philanthropist for everybody. Like, she just becomes this spokesperson at the UN, right? And would it be too much to say that TikTokers are the future of, how you receive your news and how you like make your buying decisions and your investing decisions, because you just like, that's what you like. You're like into like the whole 1, 2, 3 pop. I mean, tap, 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 slide, tap, tap, like, Kim Kardashian is a billionaire now due to her net assets or her net worth, right? Kim Kardashian, she's a billionaire. This conversation doesn't get old, because we've got, we can talk about Bhad Bhaby and Kim because they both got their starts in similar but different ways. One, became clout famous with Dr. Phil and the whole Cash Me Outside thing. One became famous by sucking dick. And I mean, one decided to go from sucking dick to selling cosmetic beauty products literally from the palm of her hand, right? Like, Kim Kardashian is savvy, right? She has to be. Like, I think there's like this, even if she's like plays dumb, she's got to be savvy enough to know, the moves she's making with where you put your wealth. Like, she put her wealth in an app, right? That, and again, it's because she has a following. Like, she doesn't work for anybody. So like, if Mr. Beast, right? Dude's got an app, a restaurant. I'm surprised he doesn't sell his own line of makeup. You know what I mean? Like, you do all these entrepreneurial things that lead you to grow your assets. Maybe you already had money, and that just kind of helps. That's just a plus. I mean, people who hate on her for being a billionaire now, it's like, well, yeah, because you're mad because she already came from money, right? Her father was a big time lawyer, and she could have and before that she was a nobody. She probably could have stayed a nobody and had a nice wealthy fund. But they grew up and evolved in this era of internet pop culture and this culture war between how to look and how you should act and what you should be into. Like, they dictate a lot of shit, right? That you probably don't even realize is being dictated by them. Like, if look, a lot of the top shit, like, if you should be following some of the top creators in your social medias. Like, stop following random people. Follow, like, for the purposes of just like keeping up and like understanding the behavior of people. Like, look at the biggest, look at the top people in Instagram. Like, Kim has like 20 million on Twitter. She's got like 66. She like ranks above like some of the most followed people on these social media platforms, and that should say something. Like that's crazy. Like she could almost just snap her fingers and change a whole trend of women. Like she could probably start dressing. She could probably, if she said to she would stop wearing makeup, or she would like try to go bare or something, and she rocked it, I guarantee you, like within a season or two, every girl you see is gonna be rocking that no makeup look on purpose, not because she feels confident, but that's how they'll spin it. Like Kim will spin it and say something like, "Oh yes, this is to feel more confident in your body, this and that." Yes, while still having, etch a sketched her body. You know what I mean? It's, you're allowed to make decisions as an adult to do whatever you want. She decided to chisel her body to, almost perfection. I'm not saying I wouldn't smash, but, she's still, became an image. Like if you think of Kim Kardashian, you probably think of like a contour of this woman who is just like long hair, kind of, almost perfect parabolic curves and all kinds of bullshit like that. It's just, she's, I guess one could say praise to her for being a billionaire. Not self-made, but I mean, a female billionaire is still a billionaire. She might not be the most educated person. I don't even know her, but she seems like, again, like savvy enough to know how to play the game. And it's this internet game that we play, right? Because you win points by, getting more likes. I don't know. That's just kind of how I see it now, because it's not. It used to be more about sharing moments, and now it's more about how well you can monetize your post, how much you can drive your traffic through your post. Like, you become more self-conscious about how often someone sees something in your feed, as opposed to, actually trying to, use the platform for something other than monetary purposes. Anyways, yeah, that's, Bhad Baby, Kim Kardashian. They're doing it. There's, how you gonna hate? You're gonna hate because, she started an OnlyFans and you didn't? You should have been started one. You can sell feet pics. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are into that. Like, we did back in one of the earlier RDG episodes, we did an episode on like it was like an OnlyFans LA documentary series on that one independent creator streaming platform. I don't remember the name at the top of my head, but it's like, you've got all these people who make a steady living, selling, nudity, or charging people thousands of dollars just to talk to these people. Like, how can I get in touch with the president? How fucking much do I have to pay to talk to Joe Biden? You know what I mean? Like, why doesn't the president have an OnlyFans? Like, why can't I pay like $10 to ask him a question? Yeah, maybe the question's going to be like rehearsed or something, or they'll refuse to answer. But that's what is this? Like, it's all NFT business, like OnlyFans should make an NFT. Everything should be NFT now. I believe, you should just go buy NFTs. If you don't own an NFT, if you don't at least put 20% of your earnings into some sort of cryptocurrency, you aren't going to live a comfortable life, because, you are going to end up spending it on something else. So something else I wanted to talk about. I don't know so Twitch.com is a streaming platform that is basically where you can go and you can stream almost whatever you want, not everything, but mostly video games and some like sort of talk show podcast form, webisodes and stuff like that, it's really become like, it doesn't really have a competitor, I think, other than Facebook gaming. And Facebook gaming is really part of an ecosystem, kind of, because Facebook wants to do this whole, like, wants to do their own ecosystem, kind of like Google has their own ecosystem of things, and Facebook being like a type of ecosystem where you have a lot of things tied to your Facebook account. Like you have a video game account, your photo account, in some cases, libraries of things you might have bought through Facebook may be tied to that. So if you were to delete your Facebook account, all of that would be gone. I mean, it's understandable, but it does suck for some people. There's some controversy around that. But for the most part, Twitch has like the top creators who basically have all of the viewership at the top, right? Everybody else kind of just has moderate followings. And, one way to explain it is like, in this creative domain, you have all of these really just all the people with all the viewership at the top who have like plus 50,000 people watching them almost on a daily basis. Those people are always going to be at the top with some like level of like drop depending on what happens. Cause we've seen some really top creators, really lose everything after getting involved in something they should not have. Now, other things too, like this idea that, Twitch is a platform for independent creators, people just like you and me who want to go on there and use it as a way to interact with fans and share things live. There's this sentiment against people who already have large followings, who aren't part of the Twitch community, that come in and sort of bring in an audience of people, right? Maybe you've heard of a lot of these large, like more popular celebrities who started Twitch streaming. Like you have some artists like T-Pain, Myers Leonard, I think, right? You have Kun Aguero, who plays for Manchester City in the Premier League. He was doing a lot of streaming during his injury. There are a lot of Formula One racers who were streaming due to the lack of the season because of the pandemic. Like a lot of people jumped into the Twitch sort of universe of doing things, and there's nobody really who agrees that, like, well, I mean, you're allowed to come and go, but when you've got people who are like big and they come in and you feel like they're just hogging all the attention because they already have a following and it's not fair to other people, I think that does suck. But I think that's just a following that they have. Like I think Logic, also a former rap artist who retired and now is like a full-time Twitch streamer, because that's what people are doing. Like that's just like a retirement account, right? Like you want to end up just, are you done doing your life? You've built up a following, just go be a full-time Twitch streamer. People love watching, people just do things live. It's just really interesting, the culture around, celebrities coming in to these platforms with their audience, and then it feels like the attention from smaller creators is taken away. And a lot of the times that is the case, where you have really good artists and creators who are just up and coming, who don't have that much exposure, don't really understand how to market themselves because maybe they don't want to be the most well-known artist. They feel comfortable with what the following they have. But when you've got a big celebrity coming in, it could just draw lots of attention away from any of the smaller creators, which does happen. Because apparently Jimmy Fallon wants to join. Well, he's going to be playing Twitch. One of the more popular games, Among Us, will be playing with the cast of Stranger Things. And people are, this, he shouldn't be doing this and that. I mean, people make the joke if he's funny or not anymore, and the amount of times he laughs, but I think he's pretty funny still. I think I don't really care about celebrities coming in and out. I'm not like really good at Twitch. I'm still figuring it out. I try my best to stream games I enjoy playing, not games I want people to watch me play. Maybe in the future it'll be different, but I'm not full time. I do this, so it's not like I, I'm constantly trying to stream and getting all these hours in. Sometimes it's easier to do smaller streams more often than longer streams all the time, like a full on stream. But yeah, I mean, I've been studying cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and like Bitcoin stuff. I'll probably be talking about that next time with Nick. It's a lot of stuff. I've been trying to wrap my head around stuff like I wish I could easily understand. It's just because I'm interested in it, and like I think it's important maybe to expose some of these you people who listen to us like a little bit more about cryptocurrency, and maybe I could if I mention something, you can go do some more research for yourself. It's just because it's just something I'm into, and yeah. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this Thinking Out Loud. I know it was a little bit shorter than usual, which is absolutely fine. I will see you guys next week. Peace.